All you got to do is be light skin, curly hair, and a nice body and a pretty face, and boom, here's my wallet.
Ah, shit. Get your tea and your popcorn because this is going to be another good one. Welcome back to the Decentering Men series. So, one of the pretty girls emailed me this, and the caption says, "Why I don't date my type." And then in the bottom part, it says, "Getting older is realizing your type probably isn't your best partner. Hashtag relatable. Hashtag transparency." So, let's see what this purple lipped bandit has to say about this.
I seen a post from a woman on here that said the real reason she doesn't date attractive men is because basically, um, once you her type, you can get away with almost anything, and I 100% feel that. Like, I'm not gonna say I date ugly women because I don't, but like, I stay away from my type because my type has me spending money that I don't have, skipping work that I need to be doing, mentally going through all the fucking loops. And I don't want to go through no more circuses. I don't want to chase nobody. I only want what wants me. So I'm not going after my type. And my type is the traditional bad bitch. And I think that's everybody's type. But the bad bitch has a worse personality. That's all I'm saying. So I like women that like me as much as I like them, as well as have personality to go with looks, have smarts to go with looks. Like my type, all you got to do is be light skin, curly hair, and a nice body and a pretty face, and boom, here's my wallet. Here it all. Oh, you need your nails done? Don't worry, I got it. And nigga, I don't got it. I really don't got it. So that shit is like detrimental to my life. So I stay away from them.
So this guy basically admits that he's bad with finances. He blew his money on quote unquote traditional bad bitches. So this is actually proof that a lot of men who have this incel rage against us are really just mad because they can't afford to be in our presence. As you can see, this guy, he looks like he literally smokes every single day. He's sitting here in a dirty, stained gray sweatshirt hoodie, complaining about how apparently his quote unquote type has ruined his life. And isn't it interesting how it's always the women's fault? It's always our fault that men spend their money. It's always our fault that they purchase us getting our nails done or something. And it's like, dude, just admit that you're not your type's type and be done. Just admit that the women that you want don't want you and be done. And also, he's exposing himself because he's saying that he's essentially settling for whoever likes him. He literally said he doesn't want to have to chase. So, when it comes to women who keep themselves together, women who are kind of the quote unquote stereotypical baddies, he's saying that he doesn't want to have to chase. So, he basically wants women that pursue him. But let's look at some of these comments. This man got dragged into oblivion. This girl says, "See, ladies, this is the backstory of why when a man starts to get money and comes up in life, he will leave you for who he really wants." Exactly. Whoever he's with right now, if he were to be on the come up and get hundreds of thousands of dollars, he would probably leave that woman because he can finally afford his type. And notice how he said, "Oh, the bad bitches have the worst personalities." Well, how would you know? Seeing as you don't have access to any of these bad bitches you're complaining about. You literally said that they ruined your life and that you were jumping through all these hoops. This person says, "This is why I don't take relationships serious. No, just only date rich men. You'll only know if you're truly who he wants when he has the choice to be with you. Broke men don't want to be alone, nor do they have options." Yeah, that's true. A lot of broke men are way more codependent. They need a woman because they need, 50% discounts on their bills and stuff. They need a warm bed to sleep in. So, yeah, they're more desperate. This person says it's sad because he thinks it's okay to bring other women down to uplift light skin, then turn around to say, "I date all skin tones." Boy, bye. Well, he's not uplifting light skins. He's not uplifting light skinned women with curly hair by saying, "Oh, you guys just ruined my life," basically. And this person says, number one, so you're colorist. Number two, you are not your type's type. Got it. Okay, so being attracted to somebody who has a light skin tone, that is not colorism. Colorism is when you are specifically discriminating against someone due to their skin tone. So a guy not choosing to date you A guy not wanting to fuck you, a guy not wanting to text you or take you out and be in a romantic relationship, that's not colorism because that's not a part of your human rights. Like men don't owe you their dicks. They don't owe you romantic relationship. So that's actually not colorist if that happens to be his type. But she says he trying to gaslight us like this our problem. Sorry, sir, my type like me can't relate. This person says women their own skin tone is never their type of preference. Isn't that interesting how you have somebody admitting right here women of their own skin tone is not their type. But just the other day, when Kai Sanat's girlfriend was surprised that this guy preferred dark skinned women, then you guys got mad at her, like, oh, well, everybody likes dark skinned women. And now here you are saying women their own skin tone is never their type or preference. So which one is it? Are dark skinned women the preference or not? Are dark skinned black women black men's preference, yes or no? This person says he talking about light skins like we want him either. Someone else says, this is why I need brown and dark skinned women to have incredibly high standards. So a man like this won't try and give you bare minimum because his type don't want him. Yeah, that's exactly what he admitted. He's basically saying, I don't want to have to chase, I don't want to have to pursue, I don't want to have to jump through any hoops, aka meet anyone's standards. I can't meet the standards of light skinned women. I can't meet the standards of women who have curly hair. So I'm just going to like who likes me. And then I don't have to put in as much work. This person says, absolutely. I'm not going to settle for someone who sees me as second choice. I deserve someone who values me, not just as an alternative. Better yet, I'm a bleach. Oh my God. So now so because of this guy's post, she says she's going to bleach her skin because this black man basically said that he pays for like light skinned women to get their nails done and stuff. So imagine being so incredibly male centered that you see a TikTok post and now you're like, okay, I'm going to bleach myself. After this guy posted a TikTok, okay, let me go bleach now. This person says won't happen. Most women would rather have a piece of a man than be alone. Yeah, maybe male centered women. This person says bring back journaling. Nah, black women, especially us dark skinned women, need to see it. Exactly, because what I heard is he'll go after dark skins because he thinks we won't take him through loops, have him spend money on us. He wants us to endure his brokenness. He said, I don't got it. Well, I will say I have seen a lot of unambiguous mono dark skinned black women paying the bills of men in real life. I have seen that a lot, especially if the guy is non black or if the guy is lighter than her. I've seen that so many times. So that has more to do with you guys' collective image. Like you need to be telling dark skinned black women to stop falling for this and to stop paying men's bills or paying just so you can have pretty babies. Kind of like Queen of Kings, you know, that lady who does divesting or whatever. She admitted that she pays all the bills. So that's the collective image that you guys are sending to men who are not your counterparts. You know, you're basically sending the message that, okay, all I have to do is be a little bit lighter than her. All I have to do is, you know, be the prize and then she'll pay my bills. This person says the ladies need to hear this. It's the ugly truth and majority of men feel this way. But I thought you guys just said majority of men prefer dark-skinned black women. This girl says, right, let them talk even more. It's a hard pill to swallow, but black women need to hear this. This person says, exactly. The ladies don't listen to women that tell them this. Maybe they will, coming from a man. This person says, and I also think that it shatters the flexing on other women that they're happy or have perfect relationships. It's deep. It just dawned on me. This shows that I can never win with carnal and shallow people like this. There are so many good-looking people, especially women. You can never rest because it's all shallow. I do agree that men in general are extremely shallow. I think that looks come first because you could be the ugliest woman in the world and be the nicest person, but most men, they really will pass you up if you're quote unquote ugly. So I do agree with that. Men do care about the looks of their partner a lot. They care way more than women do. I've seen women be like, oh, I don't care if he's not that cute or whatever, but most men, they really want their partner to be attractive or whatever. And a lot of men, they won't even give an unattractive woman the time of day unless she's paying his bills. This person says light skin, curly hair. He said, why does liking light skinned women mean I don't like dark skinned? Why ain't nobody outraged about white women or Hispanic women? I didn't mention them either. And then somebody commented, they said, to be honest, saying you like the bad bitch that everyone likes, then proceeding to say light skin, pretty hair doesn't have the best connotation, let's be honest. Well, we all know that if you're talking about like social media or Hollywood and all this, a lot of exoticals are considered the quote unquote bad bitches. I'm not saying other women aren't, but the bottom line is there will always be men who are attracted to that phenotype. And especially because, you have ambiguity too. So you have proximity to blackness, you have proximity to whiteness, you have proximity to the Asian community, Hispanic community. So I can see why people would find kind of this light brown skin tone with this curly hair. I can see why people would find that attractive. But this person says, I can respect that. I may have welcomed the misunderstanding, but truthfully, I'm basing my type off of my dating history. So he's admitting that he dated light skinned women and it didn't work out. And so now he's like, okay, whatever. I'm just not dating them anymore because then I won't have to spend money. Then I won't have to pursue. Then I won't have to chase. This person says, yeah, but it's so embedded in your subconscious that you freely said your type is everybody's type, a bad bitch, then described her. This person says, but that's the truth for the black community, right? It makes people uncomfortable, but many black men prefer women who look like they don't have two black parents. Yeah, this is what black women have said. He's really just repeating what black women have said. And I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that that's what we hear. Go on to any colorism channel and they'll talk about it. And they'll say that black love or whatever is based on colorism. So which one is it? Why are you guys suddenly acting like, oh, well, you're just being colorist because nobody really likes light skinned women? This person says, I'm sorry, it's true for us. Maybe not for brown skin or light skin, but this is the black community. We are all about colorism. Deny it or don't. It is what it is. Anything else is a lie. This person says, exactly, the truth is the truth. It's unfortunate, but true. It is what it is. It's why I don't feel no type of way about cries of racism. Like, y'all agree, black folks, deep down, also don't favor black people. This person says, they are so sad. I wonder if the girls he talks to knows that he is anti-black and has a preference for biracial women. So first of all, he did not use the term biracial. He just used the term light skin with curly hair. Technically, anybody who's lighter to him or anyone he considers light skin, it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone black. It could be somebody that's Filipino. And then in his mind, he's thinking, okay, she's quote unquote light skin and she has like kind of this wavy hair. So I find it interesting that she's automatically putting it on biracial women. And also, dating someone of a different phenotype, it doesn't always equal anti-blackness because you guys give that defense mechanism for women like Jodie Turner-Smith. She dated a white man. You guys were like, oh, well, she's not anti-black. That's just who she happened to like. That just happened to be her preference. So why is it okay for unambiguous black women to have a preference, but it's not okay for anyone else to have a preference? And I mean, this guy's dusty anyway, so why would you even care what his preference is? Like, who cares what this guy wants? This person says, girl, the women that he wants probably don't want him. And even if that is the case, you should be ecstatic. Typical. Same preference story. What's wrong? That's his preference. My type is the traditional bad bitch, then proceeds to say all you got to be is light skin with curly hair. You don't see an issue there? This girl says he's saying a light skin with curly hair is his definition of a baddie. That may not be your definition, but it's his. And he apparently thinks most men agree. That's debatable, but not a problem. This person says, so it's okay to think darker skinned people are not baddies? Okay, ma'am. Okay, so now she's exposing herself. So if you don't think that darker skinned women are baddies, then, you're a colorist. So do you see how they actually end up going back to that same talking point where it's like, if you don't prefer dark skinned women as your number one choice, you're a colorist? So you have to basically be sexually attracted to them. So they're basically admitting that a man has to give them his dick in order to prove that he's not colorist. Do you see how male-centered that actually sounds? This person says, when I'm willing to bet he has a dark-skinned mom or auntie, like what you like, but don't say your preferences are the typical baddies. So they're upset that he called light-skinned women typical baddies, even though he's only speaking from his opinion. And again, his opinion doesn't matter because he's a dusty bandit. So it's not like he's desirable anyway. This person says, probably, but we live in a society that thinks like him, and no matter how much you dislike it, it's life. A lot of men think like him. It's sad, but reality. This person says, while there are a lot of men that think like this, that doesn't make it right. Please only date your type. Don't go to women who aren't because your type doesn't want you. And let's not discredit other beautiful shades. We are valued by a lot of men as well. Exactly. So go to those men. Why do you even care what this dusty bandit has to say? Like, why are you arguing and upset because this bandit didn't call dark-skinned black women baddies? Shouldn't you be excited? Like, yes, get him out of my dating pool. That's how I would respond. I would be flattered. I'd be like, yes, please get him out of my dating pool. Like, when the passport bros talk about how they're leaving the United States, I have no problem with that because I want those guys to get out of the dating pool anyway. they can go be someone else's problem. So I celebrate passport bros leaving the United States. Please get out. So it's interesting how she's not taking on that same energy. This person says it's not right, it's life. He will only attract women who don't love themselves. No woman, no matter her complexion, should accept the bare minimum. It's not an issue unless you make it one. Preferring one thing doesn't discredit the other. There are men who like thick and big women, and skinny women shouldn't be offended by that. This person says, I think most black men want that. I'm not surprised. No, ma'am, not most. A lot of us dark skinned women get a lot of love. So, since you get so much love, though, I'm just curious as to why you're kind of seeking this guy's validation. Who cares what he thinks about dark skinned women? Get away from this bandit. You don't want this guy. This girl says, that's what I think. Look at who the men with money go after. They all look alike. That's just what it is. Some, not most, but I see what you're saying. Duh, black women still holding on strong to black love that black men been let go. This person says, it's the fact that it sounds like he thinks that's the traditional bad B and every other man's type, which is crazy. This person says, the way black men are obsessed with hair needs to be studied. This person says, don't start that. That's his type. It's women on here that talk about they only like dark-skinned chocolate men all day, and y'all be co-signing. Somebody says, and that's just as wrong too. You sound like you want to be picked. This person says, yep, they worship dark-skinned men, knowing damn well these men typically prefer light-skinned or white women. This person says, and if you're from the 90s, you know the standard of beauty was just light-skinned, curly hair, and they equated being dark to not being attractive. Bad bees are dark-skinned too. So they're literally starting an entire argument about this dusty bandit's preference, when he literally admitted that he wants to do the bare minimum and that he's broke and he doesn't even have money to pay for a manicure. My manicures are like what, $30, $40? So it's like, why would you even argue about who this guy prefers? This person says, I feel bad for the girl you settle for. This is not a compliment, ladies. Exactly. This is not a compliment. So even if you do fit his type, I don't view this as a compliment. This person says, this is why the women who look like what you described, aka light-skinned curly hair women, have terrible personalities, boring, etc., because they don't have to be decent people in order to be treated well by men like you. So now she's over here throwing shade at the entire light-skinned community, throwing shade at the entire curly hair community, saying we all have terrible personalities and are boring because of men like him. So apparently men like him control our personalities. So if a man pays for your nails, now you have a bad personality because, you think you're the shit, basically. This person says, exactly, he is to her what the woman he settles for is to him. Right. This person says, I would crash out so bad if my man posted this. LMAO. What? Like, literally, he's saying he's settled. Seriously, like, I never want a man who's with me because he doesn't want to spend money on his real type. So this comment right here is a psychological jackpot. She says, no, baby, you don't crash out. You get fine on him. Stop giving him your energy and then go get his preference in the male form. So she's actually admitting, no, go get a light-skinned man with curly hair. Go get his preference in the male form. That's your revenge, is by sleeping with a light-skinned curly-haired person. So do you see how they actually triangulate exoticals with one another? You got black men triangulating dark-skinned black women. Then you've got dark-skinned black women triangulating, saying, oh, no, stop giving him your energy. Go get his preference in a male form. Like, that's how you one up on a dark-skinned black man who's colorist. That's your revenge for colorism, is to just go date a guy that's lighter than you. So then you won. You know how they say, oh, this is my reparations, sleeping with a white man. I won. I conquered because I attracted the almighty white man. So she's saying the same thing, but she's saying to get a light-skinned, curly-haired guy. This person says, if you watch this video as a light-skinned woman and still date him after this, you're the problem too. Yeah, who's dating him? Clearly nobody light-skinned is dating him, though. That's what he said. He said basically he can't attract them. He has to jump through too many hoops, and then he ends up spending all of his money. And so he can't even attract that. So why are you bringing smoke to light-skinned women when clearly the light-skinned, curly-haired women aren't dating him? Having a guy pay for your nails is not the same as being in a romantic relationship. This person says the real issue is that you're essentially saying the only baddie aesthetic woman, light-skinned, curly hair, is who deserves that type of treatment. So the creator, he says, I definitely didn't mean it that way, but I see how that could have been perceived. This person says unconscious, slipping out. And he didn't even say that, but okay. I mean, If a light-skinned woman getting her nails done makes you believe that you don't deserve to get your nails done, that sounds like a personal problem to me. This person says any woman you date should be worthy of being spoiled if you really F with her. Going after the average women so that you can avoid doing more than the bare minimum is diabolical. This person says definitely have no intention on going after average. I want exceptional in every way, but the aesthetic shouldn't and won't be the main focal point of the women I choose to give effort. This person says it's just the same as a girl not wanting to deal with attractive men because of arrogance, sassiness, or higher standards. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's why I made that video saying that dating an ugly man is not the solution. Like, that doesn't, I mean, that's not a solution for me. Getting a man that's hideously ugly, and then you're telling me I have to sleep with this guy for the rest of my life? So I have to have bad sex the rest of my life because, I'm intimidated by the confidence that an attractive man would have? No. So I agree with this. Dating an ugly person is also not going to solve the problem. This person says attractiveness is much more subjective to women, though. It's not the same because, as you can see, there's literally a whole demographic of women who like medium ugly men. LOL. A man's demeanor can literally make him more attractive than a pretty boy type. The way that men measure attractiveness in women is way more superficial. So I do agree with this as well. Two things can be true at the same time. Men are a lot more superficial. This person says you just called a dude medium ugly and then attractive in the same sentence. Also, that's not relevant to the convo. Everybody treats pretty people better. It's not a man or a woman thing. Yeah, pretty privilege exists, and it's going to continue existing, regardless of what you choose to do. Attractive men will still have some sort of, I guess you could call it handsome privilege, and then same thing goes for attractive women. This person says, no offense, but you're talking about pretty boys and medium ugly dudes. Do you expect me to believe women's standards aren't superficial? Yeah, I think that a lot of women they use a man's ugliness as more of a coping mechanism. Like, oh, my man's ugly, he's hideous, he has bad breath. Oh, my man looks like Santa Claus, but he treats me well. He has money though. And it's like, no, just admit you're trying to you're trying to find a coping mechanism because your man who looks like Santa Claus is not attractive to you. So you're going to spend the rest of your life having bad sex with a man you're not attracted to, and you're just trying to cope. This girl says most women genuinely don't find pretty boys attractive because it's too close to femininity. So the attractiveness is subjective, and they do find medium ugly attractive. So now I'm curious as to what her definition is of a pretty boy. Like, what does she mean by that? This person says, you sound delusional. I'm sure some women don't like pretty boys, but even that is a subjective view. There's attractive, average, and non attractive. Let's not change what the standard is. This person's. This person says, that car and that sweater tells us you ain't got it. You ain't nowhere near got it. Exactly. This guy looks like he's driving an old van, actually. This doesn't even look like a car. You know those vans that you get out of the junkyard or like you buy them in one of those crappy car lots? That's what this looks like. It looks like he's driving a giant van. You know the vans that like pedophiles drive? That's literally what this looks like. He looks like a creepy guy in a sweatshirt, like he's been smoking all day long, and he's driving a creepy van. This person says, ladies, stop shaming him for what he said. We need him and men like him to overtly say what he said. Brown and dark skinned girls, we can do better than someone that can't pay for a full set. Exactly. So there's no need to even argue about, oh, stop calling light skinned women baddies. Dark skinned women are baddies too. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that because you don't want this dusty guy to come into your vicinity. You want this type of guy out of your dating market. This person says, I agree. Let them be honest so we know how to move accordingly. This person says, honestly, a full set is low level spending. A man told me that before. He said when a man has money, make sure he spends big. This person says, exactly. He is still living in his parents' attic, crying about his poor choices, horrible career choices, while black, beautiful ladies like myself are thriving and college educated. So apparently this guy lives in his parents' attic? This person says, so dark and brown skinned women with 4C hair will get the bare minimum from you until you got it to hand it all over to a light skinned curly hair? Yup, but glad he said it. Now we know to stay away from him. That's all men, babe. He's saying what they all think. Yup, he's saying what many of them feel. Let's not jump all over them. Do we want the truth or not? Women gotta hush. This person says it's not all men, just men like him. A beautiful woman is a beautiful woman, light skinned or not. He just prefers light-skinned women that he can't afford. He couldn't afford many darker women either. Exactly. He doesn't look like he can afford anybody. He can't even afford a nice shirt. He has to wear an old raggedy Walmart gray sweatshirt. This person says, so that's why y'all marry the good girl but cheat with the bad girl. Ladies, this is your lesson to treat these men like shit. Basically, you don't want to put in effort for your type, so you date down. Well, why is him dating dark skinned black women dating down, though? This person says his type barely even wants him. This person says, you're 33, living at home with a child. Please focus on getting a job. And then the creator says, I have a job. I moved home to eliminate debt and go back to school. I bought a new car and I move into a spacious 3 bedroom in 3 weeks. Eat a Frank. This person says, I believe the only reason they're eating you up is because you said light skin, curly hair. He said, that's the only reason I'm getting tore up. I literally said I'm choosing better for myself, and these people are focused on the shade of woman I said I've dated to get me to this point. This person says, actually, it's also because he lacks the self awareness to realize he is unattractive to many women for reasons beyond his income. He's also basically using women temporarily that he's not interested in, while likely selling a fantasy to them to keep them interested. Very narcissistic. And then the creator said, I'm not using anyone. You have no idea the type of work I put in on myself. Credit 750, zero debt, savings hefty. Got accepted into a radiology program, all while being a full time single dad. Fuck out of here. This person said, wait, you're right. I just saw that. I didn't even recognize him. And then somebody exposed him. They said he actually has 2 baby mamas, so I don't even know how many kids he has, but he worried about the wrong things. This person says, guess that explains why I be getting whatever I want. Make sure you're a dude's type, ladies. Shira said it best. And then somebody said, because are you light skinned? And then she says, nah, any skin color can get spoiled if you're his type. I mean, I do agree. I wouldn't want to be with a guy where it's like, I'm not his quote unquote preference or type, whatever you guys want to call it, even though I really do think that the preference and type conversation is mostly based on gaslighting. But yeah, just get with a guy who treats you well that you're also attracted to, though. Don't just get a guy who's fugly that you're disgusted by. This person says, yep, he's literally saying this verbatim, and people still try to deny it. If a man isn't spending on you and making time, he doesn't want you like that. Exactly. That just happens to be this guy's type. There's plenty of beautiful dark skinned women who get spoiled. You just gotta be his type. Simple as that. Men create the nasty women they claim to hate so much. Okay, so apparently us, quote unquote, bad bitches are nasty because of men. But what do you ladies think? Do you agree with any of these comments? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.